Well, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We're continuing with football. Much has been made of the ongoing rift between the Reggae Girlz 2023 World Cup squad and the Jamaica Football Federation. The history-making players have not represented Jamaica since September's Olympic qualifying. That tie against Canada, they withdrew their services ahead of the Women's Gold Cup qualifiers in October, citing constant mistreatment from the Jamaica Football Federation. At the time, they said they had not received full and correct payments from the World Cup and numerous outstanding bonuses for qualifying in the summer of 2022. They also said they had dealt with a lack of communication, poor organization, poor management, and delayed payments from the JFF time and time again. 3 games and 2 FIFA windows later, the issues have not been resolved and the World Cup stars are still on the outside looking in. We've heard numerous times from members of the JFF. Today we hear from the girls. Earlier today, in a SportsMax Zone exclusive, we spoke with the nation's record goal scorer and Ballon d'Or nominee, Khadija, as well as Jamaica's World Cup custodian and the Tottenham Hotspur keeper, Rebecca Spencer. I began with the question of how and why did this ongoing rift with the JFF begin?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think before we get to that, I think that this summer has been a very historic summer for not just us, but the Caribbean in general. And I think that hasn't been the headlines, I should say, because when you look at it, we've been the first team to go back-to-back at a World Cup, both male and female, and not just that, qualify for the round of 16. But I think instead of that, it has been shadowed with issues that we've had to be dealing with the JFF. And yes, we chose as a team not to, I would say, come out and speak on some of the issues because we thought that it would have been dealt with sooner behind closed doors. But obviously that hasn't been the case. I think that we just wanted to come on here, speak about our World Cup experience, some of the things that, we had to deal with to get to where we were, and just tackle some of the issues that's been going on.
And Khadija, you've played at the highest level. I mean, you've been making history. For my team, Manchester City, you have been dominating. So the thing is, both you and Rebecca know how a professional setup works. So on that note, talk to me about some of the issues, because if I'm being very honest, on this show, we've spoken to members of the JFF and they seem to be a bit unaware of some of the issues that you and members of your team have endured.
I think from our first time when we qualified for the 2019 World Cup as a team, we sat down and we spoke about how can we improve so that when the next World Cup cycle comes, we are in the best possible situation to compete and qualify, because the 2019 World Cup, I think, was just an experiment and an experience, because I think we only had one player playing professional at the time. Most of us were in college, just finished up college. Who wasn't in college was in high school. So I think for us, when we look back at the 2019 World Cup, I think it was an experience. And one thing we spoke about as a team is to ensure that every player is playing professional, because at the end of the day, when you look at the other national teams around the world that's doing well, all their players are playing professional, and that wasn't the case for us. So I think we set these standards for ourselves so that we could be in the best possible position to compete. Some of us are playing against our teammates from club, so we are well aware, of what it takes to be playing at the high level. So I think us setting the standards for ourselves is just as important as, the federation helping us along the journey so that we could go out on the field and, get the results and be in the best possible position to compete and represent our country to the highest level. And I think over the years, there's been a lot of stuff said that, I would say was untrue, especially from a coaching standpoint. We've heard it, we've seen it, and let's just make this clear. We've never been in a meeting or an interview with the JFF asking any coach about any position. They've never asked us about any position. But I think when we come with the national team, there's between 9 to 10 days you get to represent your country. 3 to 4 days you barely have training because, that's shadowed by games and stuff like that. So I think with those 3 to 4 days, I think at the end of the day, tactical decisions, yes, that's something that needs to be clear. But at the same time, we shouldn't be in a place where we're getting the starting 11 in a WhatsApp group and not have a meeting before a game. Stuff like those, it shouldn't be the case. We're leaving camp, there's no meeting. Players are unaware of what's next. Players are coming on the field. The coaches don't know the players' names and stuff like that. So it makes the environment uncomfortable and players, feeling like they're not wanted or they're just here just to make numbers and stuff like that. So I think just as all we've set standards for ourselves, I think on the flip side, there should be standard that's just as equal so that we can arrive to the same place competing and, making the country proud. So, yeah.
Right. And Rebecca, we're here now, and it's unfortunate that the ladies have not played as of recent. There is a divided view, though. There's a view, of course, some people are supporting the Reggae Girls for the stance that they've taken. They've said, of course, that, you all have endured so much, so what you're doing is right. But there are people in Jamaica and around the world that feel as if y'all are asking for too much and that you should have represented the country despite everything that was going on. Your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously everyone is entitled to their opinions and, and for us, I think we've been going through it for so long and it was way before I even came into the programme, and since I've been there, we faced, problems, ever since I've been there. And I feel like if we're not going to stand for something now, then we're never going to do it. And we're not doing it just for us. We're doing it for the next generation of reggae girls that are coming through, making sure standards are good for when, this current squad does leave and go on to different things. So it's just like we're trying to put in place something that is sustainable for future and for the rest of the country. It's got nothing to do with us not wanting to represent Jamaica. We all love representing Jamaica, and that's what we wanted to do. And we've been wanting to do that. I'm pretty sure if you saw our efforts in the World Cup, that was the only thing on our mind, and it's something that, we were proud of. And, like Bunny said earlier, it's just been disappointing because I feel like it's been overshadowed by a lot of negative stuff when really we were a real shining light for the country and, and for the Caribbean. And I think we gave everyone something to shout about in the summer. And we enjoyed it, and we put ourselves through a lot of, ups and downs getting there. And even at the tournament, we've got, staff there that I want to give, the medical staff were brilliant on the trip. I think you would agree, Bunny, because they got us through some really, really tough times, and they helped us through it. And it was always up against it. And I think for us, it's not about us not wanting to represent Jamaica. It's just about setting standards. And we've played games. Up until Canada, we played in that game the Olympic qualifier without getting the funds that from the World Cup. We hadn't been paid. So there's loads of things that had gone on, and we've been doing this now for so long. So when does it actually stop? And when do we actually have to stand up for ourselves to make it better for the next generation coming through?
Yeah, Rebecca, I want to ask a question quickly here, because about a month ago when the issue came up and the Reggae Girls backed away from representing in solidarity with the position you have, not long after that, the Jamaica Football Federation presented a story that all of the payments were made and that there was no money outstanding for the Reggae Girls. On that financial issue alone, can you say that the Reggae Girls have been fully compensated for all of the outstanding payments that were due?
I can say that we haven't, even up until now. I think there's still a number of players that are missing payments, back from February time. And, it's disappointing for us to hear that in the media. And our direct conversations with the JFF is never always, we say what we have to say. they listen, but then nothing ever really gets done with it. So we're always trying to fight for that. And I think, for now, I do know that there's still outstanding payments that haven't been paid to certain players. So as it stands, we're still owed money. So whatever's been said to the press is obviously not true at this moment in time.
Yeah, because there was a general feeling that your unavailability was temporary, and many people, maybe a month earlier, would have felt that by now things would have been sorted out. Can you say if there has been dialogue in the past weeks between the Reggae Girlz and the JFF? Because it seems as if this issue is in limbo and nothing is happening. Well, that's certainly how it appears to the public looking on. Is there constant dialogue going on and you're still in a standoff position, or is no one talking to the other?
So we've got representatives with FIFA Pro at the moment who represent us. So they'll email the JFF for a response, and basically they've got all of our issues and they deal with how we want to speak to the JFF. So we're not doing it directly. So it goes through them first, then to the JFF. So basically we have to wait to hear back from the JFF, and then they wait to hear back from us. But I know that we have tried to organise a meeting, because of course we all want to just get this resolved as soon as possible so we can actually get back to doing our jobs and representing the country how we have done in the past. So there has been dialogue. It's not been directly from the JFF to the Reggae Girlz, but it's been through FIFA Pro, from us to FIFA Pro to them. So, and it's stuff that we've heard. I think the last time we've spoken was on the 16th of November, which was the last email, which was to set up a meeting that we're still waiting to kind of hear from the JFF to set it up. So we haven't had any dialogue since then.
Yeah. There is some evidence, Becky, that the JFF, in trying to put teams out there to represent the Jamaicans in your absence, that they want to expose the fact that there are a lot of other talented players out there, and sometimes you get a subliminal message from the JFF that they don't need you girls, and they've got some girls who can do the job. How would that make you feel?
Obviously, whoever represents Jamaica, I think, we wish them the best of luck in this, in this scenario. And, for us, we've been to the World Cup and we put on such a great performance. So it's tough, and it's kind of hard to hear that, obviously, after doing so well. But for us, whoever represents the country, we know is going to go in and do a good job. And it's up for opinion and whoever they want to choose. But at the end of the day, I don't feel as if, we have done much wrong to not be selected in these, in these matches. But it's something that we had to do. We had to take a stance and we had to do the right thing for, like I said, for the rest of the girls that are coming through once this World Cup group goes, retires or goes on to do other things.
Yeah, and you've said that twice now, that this stance that you're taking is not just for the current World Cup players, but for the future of the games and girls coming up. And I would want Bunny to comment on this as well. But the fact is, there are girls there now playing, so there is no. You're putting your necks on the block for the good of the building of women's football in Jamaica. But there is a group there now that is not standing by your position, and they are out there playing. A quick comment on that from Becky, and then Bunny.
Obviously, when the squad gets selected, there's a number of players that get selected, and for us, it was just important that the World Cup squad were involved in this stance. So whoever gets selected outside of that isn't necessarily involved directly, but they can make their own choice in selection whether they want to be selected or not. But for us, it was a stance that we made as a group. Just the 23 that went to the World Cup, and that was something that we stood by because we didn't want it to harm anything else outside of that. We obviously knew that we had Gold Cup qualifiers coming up, so it was tough for us we didn't want to expose it all out there, so there was no squad. We wanted to make sure that there was a squad in place, and whoever they chose was going to go and represent the country. So we've left it as the 23, and that's the only people that we're representing at this moment in time. We can't really speak on behalf of the other girls that have gone to the qualifiers.
Yeah. Becky, let me just start with you here, just to clear up a few things. One, the Jamaica Football Federation had said recently that they proposed a December 8th date for a meeting. Are you aware of that December 8th proposal from the Jamaica Football Federation?
No, I don't think. Bunny, I don't know. We haven't had any December the 8th. I don't remember having anything through that. Yeah, we don't know about that.
Yeah.
The last email we get, like Becky said, was in November. The General Secretary had wrote back to FIFA Pro stating that this was before this camp, stating that they asked the manager to set up a Zoom meeting after this camp because they didn't want any distractions. So that's the last thing that we've heard.
But no specific date just yet?
No.
Bonnie brought up an issue earlier. I'm not sure I understood it completely, so I'll ask for some clarification. You spoke about a number of issues within the team setup itself, speaking to how you received starting lineups and so on. It sounded to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that those are the types of issues that you probably would take up with the coach and the management staff directly?
Yes, and we've had dialogues time and time again. There's other issues outside of the control of that, but we've definitely had dialogues with them about the issues, and it continued, and players started to get injured due to certain situations that would happen and stuff like that. So that was just it.
Were these issues over several coaches, several management setups, or were these issues over a particular period?
Several, I would say more than one camp that we've had, international camp that we've had. We've just had a lot of...
Spanning what period?
Issues. From the qualifiers right up to when we qualified for the World Cup.
Okay. And would these issues include also the World Cup itself?
No, because so the issues that we've had, we've made statements about. That's some of the issues that we've posted on our social media about some of the issues that we've had to deal with, and we brought it with the JFF, and nothing really became of it.
Yeah. So let me be a little bit more direct, because part of the reason I started the questioning that way in terms of understanding the coaching and management setup when these issues were there, did these issues precede Lauren Donaldson's reign, or did these issues persist during Lauren Donaldson's reign? And I'm speaking now about the things that are more specific to the coaching and management staff.
I think when the World Cup, the qualification started February 2022, Becky, if I'm right. Is it February?
Yeah.
Yeah. So from February up until June, when was it? June, I think was the last camp that we had. We've had
June 2022.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this.
Oh, June 2023, this year.
It was on.
Yeah,
you're talking about
Mexico. Up until June, before we went to the CONCACAF. When was that?
Yeah, so that was June.
It's been so long.
CONCACAF, the qualifiers were in June 2022.
Yeah, so from the moment from the beginning of qualifiers to when we qualified for the World Cup. So during that period, we've had numerous situations regarding the coaching, and then from that period to when we got to the World Cup, we've had administrative issues.
Okay, so yeah, I really just wanted to be clear that the coaching and management issues that you speak about predated Lauren Donaldson, but issues continued from an administrative standpoint even after Lauren Donaldson took over as coach.
Yes.
Would I be correct in saying that?
Yes.
Okay. The payment issue as well, I just want to get completely clarified. Becky said that there are still players who have not received full compensation. Are we talking about players in the World Cup squad, or are we talking about players who only competed in qualifying?
Yeah, players from the World Cup squad from February. So there's half the team in February that competed, which those players were the ones that competed in the World Cup, haven't gotten any match fees. They've just got per diem, so there's no match fees or appearance fees. And then a few of the players still have yet to receive match fees and appearance fees for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, it's unfortunate because it took 23 players to help us to get to where we were. So the fact that half the players have gotten paid and half the players haven't gotten paid, and some players have gotten payments, half the team have gotten numerous amount, way more than some of the players. It's just all over the place. And I think it's just very unfortunate because it's not even about the money. I think it's just about having good communication. Because if I know that I owe Becky something on Monday and I know that I am not able to give Becky what I owe her on Monday, I should be able to communicate to Becky and say, Becky, I understand that I have to give you the ball on Monday, but due to certain situations, I won't be able to give you on Monday. Would it be okay for me to give you next month? So that leaves Becky with the opportunity to think about it from that point of view. But I think if I just let that time pass and then say, oh, I've gave Becky the ball when I know I haven't given her the ball, Becky's gonna left wondering, when did we have this communication? My bank account or whatever. For us as Reggae Girlz, our bank account is not stating that you've paid all the players. So I don't know where the payments have gone. But like I said, for us, it's more than just the payments because we've played 2 games against Canada not having any payment from February. So I think we just want to focus on football. We want to enjoy, we want to represent the country, but at the same time, I think we deserve what we should get contractually, and for what we've given, the joy I'm sure we've given to the country throughout the World Cup. Like Becky said, there's a lot of situations that we look back and we laugh, and I think a lot of people see us performing out there on the pitch, but they don't know what it took for us to. I think if we had gotten through Colombia, we'd be patched up and backed up to play the quarterfinals. That's how much we put our body through to get to that point. So I think it's just very unfortunate that we're not able to continue representing the country, perform, and, give the country something to smile about at this moment in time.
Yeah, fair enough. Definitely fair enough. I do want to get an understanding, though, as to whether there was an agreement with the Jamaica Football Federation on how the payments would be structured. And I ask that question because I do remember the JFF suggesting at one point that in terms of the specific breakdown that they had requested from the girls, how the breakdown would be dealt with, and they didn't get a response, and so moved ahead to calculate with a formula that they had. Was there agreement on how the money should be dispersed?
I'll speak a little and then I'll let Becky add in. I think the particular part that you're talking about is different from the February camp.
Okay.
I think the particular part you're talking about has to do with us qualifying for the World Cup and the World Cup bonus.
Okay.
But we're saying players still haven't gotten appearance fees and match fees from February, even before getting to the World Cup. I think I understand what you're saying, but if that is the case, so basically contractually, there's the World Cup bonus for when we get to the World Cup, and a certain percentage should go to the players that played in the World Cup, and then there's a certain percentage that goes to the players that participated for us to get to the World Cup. If you understand what I'm...
Yes, so you're saying there is no issue with the World Cup money itself. It is other outstanding fees.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. So there's the World Cup bonus, and then the percentage, a certain percentage goes to every player that participated for us to get to the World Cup. And then there's another percentage for the players that performed in the World Cup. But what I'm saying is the percentage for the players that performed in the World Cup, there's still players from that World Cup group that still haven't gotten paid outside of the players that participated for us to get to that point.
So players from the qualifiers is what you're saying who have not been paid?
Yeah, that's separate. I'm talking players that played in the World Cup still haven't gotten paid.
Wow. That's shocking because that's not the picture that the...
All right, wow indeed, Ricardo, a lot to unpack there. So on that note, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, on the other side, we'll hear, the girls will continue talking about what they've been experiencing and explaining this disagreement, you want to call it rift, between the Reggae Girlz and the JFF. Stay with us, let's take a quick break. All right, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We continue to hear from Jamaica's Reggae Girlz, Khadija Bonichon and Rebecca Spencer, as they finally break their silence on the ongoing rift between the JFF and the Reggae Girlz. Let's continue with that interview.
Ladies, for us to see the World Cup stars back in action representing the Reggae Girlz, given where we are now?
Well, I think definitely from my, standpoint, I think as a group of players, we deserve honesty and respect in every angle. And if that is to just communicate and just be honest with everything, I think, and just being transparent on every form is better for us because then we can understand what's going on. But when you're left with no communication for months or for weeks about, what's happening, it makes it really difficult for a group of players to want to show up and to want to keep going and going through this each and every time if nothing ever changes. We need that to happen for us. We just need honest and open communication, transparency, because we have a leadership group which is full of 6 players, and we're always there for them to speak to or communicate with whenever they want. So if they don't want to use us, we need to find a different way of being able to making sure that communication is well and everyone is just in the loop about what is going on. But I think from the World Cup till now, the communication has been so bad. We've literally been in this group chat for weeks trying to sort everything out, trying to find out how we can make this better and this, that, the other. But it all boils down to really just being honest and having clear communication to everyone involved, from us and to and from them, just so we know what we're doing, just so we can be on the same page. We don't want to keep having this dispute constantly. We don't want to keep going through this. We just want a resolution. We want to represent the country again, and we want to get back to what we're good at, and which is performing on the pitch. And I think it's just really disappointing for us at the moment because we hear things in the media. We haven't spoken out about anything. We've just kept it to ourselves, and we've heard more and more stuff go on. And a lot of it isn't true. So we're sitting here on this and we speak the truth, and we just wish that they could, do the same in return.
Yeah. Ladies, yeah, go on, Bonnie.
I was going to add, there's a particular instance where we found out that we were suspended on social media because we didn't turn up to a meeting. So I just want to clarify. So October 19, the JFF sent an urgent email asking us to meet. This was a Thursday, asking us to meet with them 9 a.m. the next day. Mind you, that's minutes to 10. I'm sleeping. 4 a.m., we got another link to join the Zoom for 9 a.m. the next day. When we're with our clubs, our obligation is with our clubs, and we have a specific time in which we train, in which we get stuff done. When we're with our national teams, we have to deal with everything that has to do with our national teams. After training, I went on my email and I saw that they sent a email asking for a meeting 9 a.m. which was the Friday, on my way, because I had a game the Saturday, so I had a game at Arsenal, so we were traveling to London. And so I reached out to the members of the leadership group that they had sent the email to. Some players were in training currently. Some players were traveling for games, because the players that are in England, we play Saturday, Sunday, so we had a game. The 9 a.m. didn't specify if it was in the UK or Jamaica time. So we spoke. We as a leadership group, we spoke and we said, let's reply to the JFF, explaining to them why we were not able to attend the Zoom meeting. 3 p.m. the Friday, we sent a message to the JFF stating that
and
you
this
sent
is
the
3
message.
p.m. UK time or Jamaica
UK time.
Yes.
UK time. Because we got the message. When I saw the message, when I saw the email, it was 10 p.m. the Thursday.
Yeah, UK time.
So, UK time.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm sleeping because we had a long day, because it's a Friday, so you travel for the game the Saturday. So I sent an email 3 p.m. UK time explaining to the JFF that we didn't see the email due to how late it was here, our time, and you didn't specify 9 a.m. what time it was. So due to that reason, players are currently still training at the moment. So due to that reason, we wouldn't be able to attend the Zoom meeting. They didn't reply to that email, and then we saw that we were suspended because we didn't attend a Zoom meeting. So I think those are some of the situations where communication comes into play, and I think just being transparent and honest, because like we've said numerous times on this call, it's not just about the money, but I think the communication is the biggest issue we're having at the moment.
Can I just add something as well? I think along the lines of the communication, I think it was made clear that I think in the media it was perceived as we had an issue with the coaching staff that were now in place. That was never the issue for us. We were just never told a full list of coaching staff that were going to be available for the camp, medical or technical staff analysis, and we just wanted to clear up that those members of staff were going to be at the camp. And I think, as players, it's a player welfare issue as well. If we don't know which medical staff are going to be there, analysis wise, I think we need an analysis. We need a strength and conditioning coach. We need, an assistant manager. We need a manager. It was never an issue with who it was going to be. It was just, where are they? And can we just have a clear list of who it actually is, so we know and everyone is on the same page? So that was never really communicated to us. We were just told that the spaces would be filled. But for us, we want to know where it is and who is it. Like at this point, we just wanted to know that was generally the case. I don't know if you have any more on that, Buns, but
yeah, I was gonna say, to add to that, and this is where being in a professional environment and understand what it takes to perform. It's more than just going out on the pitch and performing. Every time the players leave their clubs, they have to report to the medical staff of the national team to say, hey, whether the player have an illness or the player just recovering from injuries or whatever the case may be, so that when the player arrives in the national team, the doctors and physios already know how to treat those players. The same with the strength and conditioning coach. We play and we use GPS. So when we leave with our national team, the national team coach, strength and conditioning coach, sends all the GPS and all the data to our clubs to know that when we arrive to the club, whether we've run too much or we just need to recover this day, or the injuries or whatever. So I think that's where we just need the communication, because when my club, for example, is asking me who the doctor is and the physio is, who do we send your information to? There was no one in place. So it's like, yes, I understand that there were supposed to be a medical staff and physio at the time, but I would like to know who those people are so I can send my information to them, because I can't send my medical history to the GenSec. It has to be the doctor or the physio, and it's the same for the strength and conditioning coach. The strength and conditioning coach needs to know who they're sending the data to, vice versa. So when we're asking who the medical staff is and who the strength and conditioning coaches and stuff like that, it's not that we want to dictate who these people are who's going to come in. We want to know so we can transfer the information from our club to the national team, so that when we arrive, those people that are in place know what to do with the information when we arrive. So I think that's where you have to understand being in a professional environment and being educated of what it takes what it is to just more than go out on the football pitch and just perform, because ultimately those are just as important as when we walk out on the pitch.
Yeah, Becky and Bunny, it is very clear that the JFF over the years has taken a combative stance with the Reggae Girlz because of how vocal and powerful you are, and your performances speak for themselves. There is a view that Lorne Donaldson's contract was not renewed because his stance is fiercely supportive of the girls, and removing him from the picture gives the JFF a better stance to control things with regards to the girls. Your non-availability for the current program was announced shortly after Lorne Donaldson's contract was not renewed. Becky and Bunny, how disappointing was it for you World Cup girls that a coach who was stood by you through thick and thin was no longer going to be your coach? How did you feel then?
Yeah, obviously it's hard because, you know, we've come off such a whirlwind of a World Cup, and we've come back with so many positives, and we've all come back very happy. And I think a lot of people don't realise, being away for so long and being in Australia, you're in your own bubble of staff and players. And when you come back off of those trips, like, it took me quite a long time to recover, like socially and mentally, from what we had just been in. And I know a lot of the girls, you know, felt the same way. And you kind of miss I miss the Reggae Girls. I miss like my friends on camp. I miss the staff. And, you know, obviously Lorne was a big part of that. And, you know, it is disappointing. But it's something that happens in football. So it's something that we're always prepared for as players. We don't know what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next. So, you know, 1 minute, one player might be involved, and then the next they might not be. So I think for us, obviously, it's disappointing that Lorne, you know, got the sack and his contract wasn't renewed. And for us, I think it's just something that we, you know, have to be prepared for as professional footballers, that we know that not every day is the same and anything can change in a heartbeat. So for us, it's disappointing, but it's something that, you know, we kind of wanted to stand together and we wanted to move on from, and was hoping for the best in the next kind of cycle for the, you know, for the Gold Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, you know, there's also this school of thought, and definitely publicly here in Jamaica, that Cedella Marley is for sure a dominant figure within the women's football fraternity, and that somehow she is behind the scenes pulling the strings, and a lot of what has happened has been under her influence. How close is that to the truth, if any at all?
Far from the truth. Half the things we do, she found out on social media, just like the public as well. I think because she has such a strong presence and the way she goes about her business, she just supports us with whatever we do. It's not like we have an issue and we go to her. We're grown, we're adults, we're professionals. We know what a professional environment should be. We know some of the things that, you know, we should and should not have to deal with. So I think because she has such a strong presence and because we've shown her so much love personally, I think maybe that's why it comes off like that. But half the things, the majority of the things we do, she finds out on social media just like everyone else.
Ladies, now that you've spoken out, because it's the first time we're hearing from the ladies, do you think things will change?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, we want it to change. And I think that's the main thing. Like, we're all willing and we're all on the same page. You know, the 23 girls that were at the World Cup, we're all on the same page. We all know what we want out of this. We know what we want to kind of achieve. And as a group of players, I think it's one of the best group of players that we've ever had. So I feel like it's a bit of a waste that, you know, we're not being able to showcase what we're made of at the moment. And we all just want to get back to playing and obviously welcome new girls that come into the system as well. Obviously, you've got young players that are performing at the moment out, you know, in Jamaica last week. So it's like we just want to be there again, and we want to welcome whoever comes in and out and just be there. So we're hoping that things get sorted, but it's just difficult when the communication at the moment isn't there. And we feel like we're just fighting, and sometimes it's just not, there's nothing being reciprocated, so it's hard. So we're hopeful that things will change, and like we've said in the past, we just want to get out there to represent in the country again.
Yeah, two quick ones for you, Bunny, before we close this interview. First one, there was the comment, I think, following the qualification for the round of 16, where you said that we needed a GoFundMe to get the girls to the World Cup. I remember the minister, Olivia Babsy-Grange, saying that she had a word with you about maybe how it came across. Do you, a few months on, regret that statement?
I did not say we needed a GoFundMe to get to the World Cup. I said we needed a GoFundMe to get to where we are. So I think it's a bigger picture. It's like I said, people see us performing on the pitch, but they don't understand what it takes to get to that position. There's recovery that we have to do. There's supplements that we have to take. As you know, the teams that we're playing against are top teams. So, of course, it's going to take a lot out of us. So we have to ensure that we're properly nutrition is a big part of what we do. So I think there's a misconception of me saying that the GoFundMe paid for the trip to the World Cup when I did not say that. No, Ian Wright, he's someone that I've known before that Carl, we spoke numerous times before. His background family is from Jamaica, so he knew some of the stuff that has been going on previously before whatever. But I think just to clarify, I stated that the GoFundMe, for example, we didn't have per diem, we didn't have a chef when we were in
Australia.
No.
Holland.
At the camp in Holland.
Holland,
yeah.
Netherlands. So we didn't have a chef. When we were in Australia, we didn't get any per diem. So we had to use our money to buy food to ensure that we had enough to go out there and perform. Yes, there was food. The food was prepared, but obviously we're Jamaicans. You're not gonna go somewhere where, if the food is not great, you're not gonna just eat it just to say you eat something. So a number of the girls had to order food from outside so that we could ensure that we had enough in us to go out and perform. That came from the GoFundMe that we had to do. So I think, just in general, I think that's the misconception of saying I said that the GoFundMe paid for the trip. And I think what people need to understand is that whenever a donation or money goes to the JFF, we don't have control over that. Yeah. What we can speak about is what we are currently dealing with, what we have gone through. That's what we can speak about. We can't speak about who gave JFF the money or what money goes to the JFF. Yeah. We just can speak about the stuff that we have to deal with. So we didn't have we got per diems after the World Cup. So we had number of the girls, almost half the majority of the girls had to order food outside of what the hotel was preparing. So I think that's what we're saying, like, people just see us on the football field, but they don't understand what it takes to just go out and perform and constantly have to do that days. So I think that's just the misconception. And yes, the minister called me when I was at the World Cup and we spoke and I clarified that issue. And, we had a good communication with it. And that was it.
Yeah, just one final one, Bonnie, because there is now a big debate going on in Jamaica. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the shortlist for the Sportswoman of the Year, no Reggae Girl on that shortlist of 5, and no Bunny Shaw specifically on that shortlist of 5. I want to get from both of you, quickly from Rebecca, from an overall squad performance, given what you guys did in Australia, and specifically from Bunny Shaw herself not being there.
Yeah, obviously, it's like we said, it's been disappointing, but, maybe it's not as unexpected as, we probably thought. Obviously, we've said that it's been a negative standpoint since we've been back from the World Cup. So for me, it's kind of not surprising. You know, obviously Bunny should be up there, you know, and probably maybe some other players in the team as well. So it's disappointing, but at the same time, all we can do is just keep turning up week in, week out for our teams here at the moment and keep performing and keep doing our best we can. And like I said, it's just been a negative standpoint since we've been back from the World Cup. So it's obviously disappointing, but it's obviously not surprising either.
Bonnie?
For me, I was not aware of that, to be honest. But for me, I think I just try to do the best that I can. Every time I go out on the pitch, I try to give my 100% for both club and country. And I think...
So you're not disappointed that you haven't been nominated?
I think, like Becky said, the situation is the situation. Of course, I'm disappointed, but that don't define me as a player and that don't define who I am. I think at the end of the day, I have to just keep my head down, keep working hard, keep pushing and, you know, keep performing and giving my 100% for both club and country, because that's what I can control at the moment.
Well, ladies, I want to thank both of you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to chat with us here on the SportsMax Zone. We're wishing you all the very best, and I can't wait till I see you again representing for Jamaica. Take care.
Yeah, Bunny Shaw, Reggae Girlz captain, and Becky Spencer, the Reggae Girlz goalkeeper, in a pre-recorded interview ahead of the SportsMax Zone this afternoon, played live on the show today. And a lot of things said by the girls, and it's very unfortunate that a national team is in such an open conflict with the administrator of the sport, the governing body for the sport in the country. We already hear that the JFF wants to respond to some of the things that the girls have said on the show today, and I guess that's an issue we take up on the start of the new week.
Yeah, well, as you know, Lance and Mariah, I have been calling for the girls to step forward and have this conversation for some time, because I believe it is important, and I'm happy that they came forward today, but I guess we'll be discussing a lot more about this interview come next week, specifically on Monday.
All right, team. Well, we're out of time just for this week, but we'll be back next week, Monday. Same time, same place. I'll see you then. Have a beautiful weekend.